der Raum noch geschlossen oder bleibt nur so? Ja, dass man einen offiziellen Anfang hat. Danke. So, okay. Welcome to my talk. I will talk about our experiences in single sourcing with RAP and with one of our biggest business applications. Here's a short table of contents. First, we'll talk about the short introduction about the company in which I work in and what is our biggest product, the ABS. Then I will talk about our project goals and reasons why do we single sourcing, why we do single sourcing. I will give a short overview about what is RAP and why we chose it. The main issues which occurred in the process of bringing our Fed client to the web. How you generally have to adapt your architecture for single sourcing. How we solved these issues. And how is our implementation plan. So the first thing, I work for a company that's called Allianz Managed Operations and Services. It's a shared service provider for the Allianz Group. It's headquartered in Munich, but there are branches in many countries. And we offer a portfolio of IT and operation services to other Allianz companies. It's around the globe, and we have a total of more than 2,000 employees. Yeah. What do we do? Our biggest application is the Allianz Business System. It's a completely integrated insurance system with also a CRM inside. And it's really one system for all lines of business. So we don't have a different application for car and life assurance. So it's really everything, every insurance you take at Allianz is done and operated with the system. It channels also all functions into one system. So if you have the need to make to give work to another company so that a claim investigator comes to someone, it's all done over this product. It's fully integrated. It can also be used for smaller companies like Allianz Elementar in Austria, or for bigger like the one in Germany. And it's used for all platforms. The people in the customer care center also work with a Fed client based on the same business logic as you have when you look at a portal. Like if you check your own contract, it is also done with the same business logic as the Fed client. So I will show you a short demo of the live product to get a feeling about how big the application is. So this is the normal Fed client application. It's the main window, and you can access your different parts of the program. And we also offer extensive user validation. So if you just click in like this drop down, it is filtered as you type. We implemented this on our own using standard SWT components. There's a table beneath this text field, and it can filter, and it also shows you if you do something wrong, and it has autocomplete. Now this is selected. This fires a selection event and says, okay, we selected this and that value. And also to show you some contract. This is one example for a typical contract. And we also use Nebula Grid here because the standard SWT table implementation had too many shortcomings. We also have the features here to show a little more things or to adapt your visual experience. So, what were our project goals and reasons? Why did we choose to do single sourcing and bring our client to the web? The first project goal, of course, was make the whole ABS Fed client available in the browser. We also had the portals, which were designed for the real customer to operate with, but they wanted to have the whole suite in a browser. Also the standard SWT GUI had to stay available too. And of course, the change should only require small effort. And programmers outside, yeah, it's obvious. Programmers outside of the framework shouldn't have to do extra work. Our team structure is like we have one framework team, and they build the whole framework, and the other teams, they are responsible for like the persons file or the contract file. They are only using the framework, but they shouldn't have to do extra work when they. It shouldn't matter if they build the application for RAP or RCP. And what was very important is that the rich application feeling should be preserved. So it should feel like the standard ABS, like I showed you. The reasons: we wanted to have some low-cost virtualization, because now when some customer wants ABS virtualized, I mean the FAT client, to do it over Citrix or Windows Terminal, which has immense licensing costs. And also you need other people with other infrastructure know-how. With RAP you can choose your standard servlet container you use. Also easy access for the decentral worker, so they only need a browser and can work from home. And the customers demand full web-based solutions. It is hard to go to a customer and to have the real number one requirement for nearly every customer is they want it all in web. So we chose RAP to achieve our goals because it is based on the SWT API on the server side and on a JavaScript framework on the browser. Other clients are possible too. They implemented this. You can also have a native iOS or Android client. One of the first goals was the single sourcing capability with the RCP applications. Also, you don't have to deal with HTML, JavaScript, or XML. It's really plain SWT you have to program. But the SWT API is not completely implemented, as some things like the paint listeners everywhere or the mouse move listeners don't perform well on the web. So these things are not implemented, but you immediately see it because you get a compile error there. It's really not that it's implemented and you only see it when you start the application. It's really not there. So here a short overview. On the left side the RCP stack, and on the right side the RAP stack. It's now Rich Application Platform, not the Rich Ajax Platform anymore. It got renamed. And as you see, SWT only wraps the operating system with all the shortcomings of Windows, like check columns only in column 1 in tables or something like that. And on the other side, you have the RWT, the Rich Widget Toolkit, which communicates over standard servlet container with a client in the web browser, like the JavaScript client, or also native iOS or Android client would be possible. Each of these SWT components has a JavaScript counterpart handling the representation in the browser. And of course, this is all very server-centric, as you want to reuse your layout code and your event handling code. So nearly everything is done on the server, but you have the possibility to add custom scripts for client-side execution, like for validations. And I will talk about that later, and we'll show you an example. So what were the main issues we encountered? I showed you before, we have special UI controls like the Nebular grid. And the Nebular grid is based on Canvas and has extensive paint operations. This wouldn't be performing well, and there are not all GC methods implemented in RAP. So this was a problem. We have a vertical tab folder, as you saw. We also use on some fields a Swing text editor, like SWT has no real good text editor, so we use the AVT SVT bridge there. We have G3 charts for some charting. We also used OLE controls to implement a calendar and Word. The whole application, as you see, has been developed over the past 10 years, and some of the code is still 10 years old, so there are some pitfalls in there. Also, user interaction. We have single character validation as you type. So in a field that's only valid for numbers, you can type nothing other in. So we also have cursor placement. If something is wrong, we do replace the cursor. And the drop-down behavior, the combo box I showed you before, it has also you filter the list as you type, has auto-completion. These are really features that would, in the current implementation, would behave very badly on RAP, as a key down listener sends a request with every key down. Also, we have an automated test, and the test portfolio should be reused. This was also a big thing for us. There's also the multi-user access, where a fat client isn't coded like the typical web application, so you have the static fields in our UI code, and the static fields in the Eclipse workbench if you use it. So many things to deal with. Also, server environment, you have to deal with the integration with other systems, because a fat client maybe uses DLLs to communicate with some other systems or something like that. Session management, file handling, this all gets an issue. So now you know the issues, and how you have to adapt this architecture is shown here. We have also in our application, it is different plugins, and our framework plugins got some fragments which encapsulate the differences and make the application plugins independent from the real implementation. If it's RCP or RAP, it doesn't matter to our application programmers. So it's fully encapsulated there, and they don't have to do anything. Okay, solving the issues, it's also a big part. For the Nebular Grid, we made a sponsored development with Eclipse source, and we let them implement an implementation that really maps not to a HTML5 canvas, but to real diffs. It uses the same implementation as the standard RAP table uses on the front end. So you can test it. It's normal diffs like the other RAP table, no canvas involved there, but it has not the full functionality like in Nebular Grid. You can choose the rendering. You can change the renderer and can paint anything you want. This isn't possible here. We switched back there to the standard label providers, but it isn't really necessary in our case. It is available at the RAP Incubator, so you can download it, use it. We will use it in like 2 months, but there's another slide about that. For the user input validation, we used client scripting. It's also a RAP Incubator project, and we changed the listeners. Our standard SWT listeners are not active in RAP, but we register JavaScript and so move the simple validations to the browser. For the vertical tab folder, we adapted the C-tab folder from RAP and teached it the vertical layout. And little other features got enhanced too, like you can disable tabs or something like that. We have a very big style guide, so there are many things for the user to work more efficient with the application. For the dropdown, we also choose the way of a sponsored development, also with Eclipse source. And I think it got available for the public in the last 2 weeks. I didn't change that, but it works also. It is also only at the browser, so we have as you type, no requests to the server. So it is really fast and nice to use, nice to work with. For the swing text control and the OLE controls, we searched for JavaScript components we can wrap with a standard SWT browser widget. So these widgets are also used in the FAT client. So we changed the calendar with a jQuery calendar script and use it in RCP and RAP. For the automated test, there's this standard Y area standard. It is made for people with disabilities, but it's also good for testing tools. There's a plugin that adds some attributes to the DOM elements which describe what these are, because in the normal new web frameworks, everything is a div and is differently styled, so you don't have the input elements like buttons. You have to annotate this, that this is a button, this is a text field, and such things. And we also changed in our testing tool. The Allianz uses Tosca, and we also changed the steering for the control so it can handle the RAP and RCP when it's using the same tests in the background. So the full portfolio can be reused. Also for multi-user access and server environment, we had to adapt our code for multi-user access, no static fields anymore. And the Eclipse plugins already got adapted by Eclipse source. So with the RAP target platform, you also get a set of adapted Eclipse plugins. So you can use this also for 3.x. And integration with other systems, you have to resync them. So we had the integration with the telephone system or with the archive system were DLLs, and we replaced them with intermediate servers. And we also integrated web views for all these things. So yeah, you also can update in RAP the UI from the server. You can make a server push there. So it's really the same. If a user in the customer care center gets a call, it automatically pops on his screen out if the telephone number is known or something like that. So now I have a live demo. You saw this before. And here is the grid implementation. You can do the same things here. Okay, it cannot wrap. And as you see, the application is really big. It's like more than 2,000 of these pages. There's also a little toolbar, because if you minimize the windows, they wouldn't be there anymore. And we also made a sponsor development for shortcuts, so you can have the mnemonics here. Okay, technical difficulties. And as you see, it is all standard HTML. Also the grid. It's a little hard on the small screen. If you look here, it's all standard diffs, so it can be tested by the automatic test tool. So we have no issues there. The annotations for the test tool are missing here. The plugin isn't active now. But if the plugin would be active, you would see like here. If you click here, there would be an annotation like this is a table cell, and for others this is the table and it belongs to this column and such things. Okay. Questions, please.
Did you also fix the issue with the chart?
Please, with what?
You said that you have an issue with JFree charts. Did you also?
We switched to Bird for this chart. It's not done by Bird, and I also wanted to show the drop down. Okay. It's hard.
To do the single sourcing, because we did it after the fact. That's why so we didn't start from the beginning with single sourcing, but you did it afterwards.
It depends. It is due to the fact that the application is really old, and it got migrated from many frameworks. It even get migrated from one programming language to another, and you have some things to deal with it in your own framework. One thing that was in RAP is a little bit more strict when it comes to layouting. So we had many form layouts there. They were like a little bit awkward, but in RCP they functioned, and in RAP we had to switch. We had to adapt them. We had to switch to grid layout or fix the form layout. And it took us like it depends on how much people are working on there. Like there are 2 people working since January first year this year, and some other people are working. It depends on the different things, because we needed the integration of the intermediate servers. We also needed for Citrix, so this was the same thing to do. But it's basically like 1.5 years for 2 people in our application now. Yes?
You didn't really mention any bigger architecture-wise rework. Like you didn't have to do anything. I mean, especially concerning memory management or something. You know, if you have rich clients, you can load a lot of data in it. You can open a lot of editor tabs and stuff, and you keep that all in the client. So that's okay if you have a lot of rich clients, but web server, you know, the memory would just probably explode. Didn't you have to do any rework?
It was one of the things that it should really behave like the client, like the normal Fed client. So we had no adaptations there, like for memory management or something like that. The server needs enough memory to deal with this, because it was really one of the key goals, that it has to be the same. So we couldn't make any adaptations there.
How many users do you have, concurrent users, and how big are these servers?
It depends. There's an implementation plan thing afterwards. The limiting factor is now our business logic. So we don't have, if we use a tracing tool like Dynatrace or AppDynamics, we don't see any RAP classes. It's in our backend. Like I said, the application got migrated over the years. So we are not stuck with RAP on this side. We are stuck with our own framework now when it comes to scalability or something like that. Yes?
How did you reuse the tests? You said before that...
It's a special thing with the testing tool. Tosca allows to have different executors for your testing, for test plans you make. So you have steps, you have modules. In these modules there's like, put the text into this field, and how this field is located is changeable.
Okay, but how do you use that in the RAP? Will you just...
It's just a locating issue.
Okay.
You have to teach the test tool how to locate the fields which to put in and how to read them out. It's just another engine. There's an engine that connects to the Windows API and reads out the data, and there's also an engine for HTML. Yes?
How does the rich client communicate with the server? Do you send like the business objects serialized from the wire, or is there some JSON API, or how is it done?
Why the rich client is really has only connection to the database.
Ah, okay. So it's not. So you didn't make it a free-tile architecture.
Internally, this is with high architecture because it's a separate business logic, but it got deployed as one. So when you install the rich client, you have everything on there. You only connect to the database with the rich client. Yes?
So now with all the functionality available through the web, is there still use case you see for that client?
It depends. It is hard to get the people to approve of this new technology, and in my opinion, it would be great if you can stop working on the fat client. It would make some things easier, and also RAP is evolving beyond SWT. SWT has many shortcomings of the Windows API or Qt or something like that. So it would be great if this would be an option, but I think it would take like 3 or 4 years to have the process on the. We also have many customers like the Swiss Allianz or the German Allianz, and yeah, you have to get it into the people's heads. Yes.
You thought they use the fragment projects for RAP and RCP specific stuff.
You mean what it took to adapt this?
Yes.
That's hard. I have to have a look at something. I can discuss it with you later. So I can't tell you one number that took this whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
So I have to think about it.
Guys, because we are considering to switch our application,
Okay.
the application to RAP,
Mhm.
and we'd like to have kind of approximately percentage of the code that we have to write for the two specific platforms.
Yeah, we can have a longer talk afterwards, so we can share the experience. Okay. Yes.
What is about the difference between different browser platforms?
This is handled.
Something
Yeah.
inside?
This is handled by RAP, so we didn't have any issues till now. Also, we're using from EA8 to EA11 and Chrome and Firefox many browsers, and there were no issues till now.
And your specific extension for the validation, there you have to take a look on this.
It is no, because it's very similar to the SWT API. So you only get an event, get the text of the text field, like it is with the SWT modify and key events. So it's really similar, and you don't have to code browser in a browser specific way there.
Okay, so your extra validation is written in Java or JavaScript?
JavaScript.
JavaScript.
If you want to execute something on the browser, you have to write it in JavaScript.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the client scripting extension for RAP.
And you have an extra API to manage these events and to.
Yes,
make-
but it's similar to the SWT API.
Okay, so you don't need to handle on the Doom level in the browser. And that
No.
Oh, okay.
This is a fixed API, and it has the same events. It has modify, verify, key down, key up. It's basically the same. Okay, so then I'll show you the drop-down behavior here. It's also the same. You can type. It's at auto completion. And this without any requests. The only first request is if you made this auto completion, now the selection is transferred to the server. But when you type like this, there's nothing transferred, only if a certain event occurs. Okay, so the implementation plans we have. We did a test in our customer care center in August, and the scope was there, the first level claim processing, so people that really are on the phone with clients and have to do a lot of work every day. And the test was very positive, but we had some performance issues with Internet Explorer 8. EA8 is slower than other browsers, I think everyone knows. But with XP going out of service next April, in the companies, it's not a problem anymore for us because it's for internal use. And with Firefox or EA9, we had no issues. And also the people were very positive about the web client, about the RAP client. And yeah, there will be further tests next year. And also an implementation in Allianz France. They plan to do this in December, and they want to deliver the functionality to tied agents. So they have some agents, and they can access the claims. This will be the really first big implementation. So then we will see some scaling things we have to deal with, but it should be the same magnitude as our end customer portals now, because it's the same business logic used. There's also the implementation in Allianz Austria, and there will be the scope decentral workers and also tied agents. This will take place next year. Okay. Yes?
And what about mobile devices?
Mobile device is a little bit harder because you have to adapt your layout. As the layout is normally coded in SWT. You use the same layout managers. It's the same code, and you see our masks. It's not really good for a mobile phone like this. They plan to make one of our branches has plans to adapt the layout, but there's nothing concrete out of it now. But it's not as easy. You don't write CSS like a CSS media query there. You have really the styling. You have a CSS file in RAP, but it's transferred into per element styling, into inline styling. So you can have all the changes you have with, like if you have in the code, you say text set background. So you don't just write the media query and say, okay, it's relayouting. That's not the case. So you have to do it in your Java SWT view class. Yes?
Which version of Eclipse do you use?
We're on 3.8, but we don't use many Eclipse features. You didn't saw a few perspective in our application. It's basically just using the plugin concept and the core runtime, not the UI. It's just it starts up a workbench, but it disables everything and makes its own views. So there is nothing used in there. We plan to migrate to some E4 core things like the dependency injection to use and such things. And this thing should work over the compatibility layer. So we made some tests, but are not quite finished with this. I think the official RAP 4 support will maybe gain sometime next year, begin implementations. Maybe, but people from Eclipse are also sitting here. So.
Yeah. If you're interested in more details about client scripting in terms of RAP 2.x, there's a talk tomorrow morning in this room here.
We're currently using RAP 2.1, so the most actual version, and we also want to migrate to 2.2 at the end of December. I think on the 20th of December, the new release is coming, 2.2, and we will also migrate to this. Okay, if there are no further questions, thanks for attention. So if you have any further questions afterwards, I'm here till tomorrow, and you also can write me an email if you want.